You may have thought that the worst part was surgery, or the worst part was your body breaking down. But what hurts most now is the silence, the loss, the fact that you haven't felt the same way ever since. You don't trust your body anymore. You might feel numb, angry, or as though you're living in the past instead of the present. And it might not just be physical recovery. It's genuinely a form of trauma. In fact, for many athletes, it is a form of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And unfortunately, the truth is, until you heal this mentally, you will be stuck in survival mode. And let me just tell you right now, as someone who used to live in survival mode, who suffered with PTSD from lots of surgeries not working and the loss of her career, etc., survival mode isn't actually something that you can live in for the rest of your life. You will become burnt out and it will hit you like a ton of bricks. Now, PTSD, it doesn't just come from war or like violence or anything like that. It can, but it doesn't have to come from it. PTSD comes from any event and can come from any event where your nervous system feels unsafe, overwhelmed, or just completely helpless. And I felt exactly like that when the surgeon told me, sorry, there's nothing more that can be done. And chances are you feel like that too if you have had an injury or surgeries that didn't work, which were career ending and basically forced you to retire. And for athletes, a career-ending surgery or a career-ending injury is just as traumatic, especially when your identity is tied to performance. You obviously had no control genuinely over the injury, and you lost your future within an instant, like a flick of a switch. I've literally been in your shoes. It is the most helpless, unsafe, overwhelming feeling ever. And I remembered I was almost in denial and shock for a little bit. I couldn't fully wrap my head around the fact that it just happened like that. Essentially, you were forced to retire when you weren't ready. You had no mental preparation, no physical preparation, no environmental preparation. You were genuinely not prepared, and you definitely weren't ready, because if you wanted to retire, you would have retired, right? Athletes in this case experience three main things: identity trauma, the loss of, who you are and your identity; nervous system dysregulation, meaning your nervous system isn't regulated, it's in a state of fight or flight or freeze or a combination of all the three; and of course, grief, which is a very classic case with any type of PTSD. Now, some symptoms of post-injury trauma. Now, the injury can also be described as surgery in this case, either or. Essentially, this is how it shows up, the PTSD, even if no one talks about it and no one tells you, because I'm going to tell you, okay? So it might show up in a few of these forms or just one or two. Hypervigilance. So this is when you tend to overscan your body, and you're scanning your body for, the signs of pain or physical breakdown, and you're hypervigilant towards it. Flashbacks, predominantly replaying the moment where you got injured or replaying the moment where the surgeries didn't work. For me, it was replaying that. It's like a movie that I still have. It's very easy for me to go back to it, although it doesn't bring up any negative emotions now. Is sitting in that office, with the surgeon just saying, I'm sorry, there's nothing more I can do. I remember that. And it's like a film clip. Avoidance, so avoiding gyms, avoiding people, avoiding sport talk, avoiding simply anything that reminds you of your old life. Depression or apathy. Depression is obviously the suppression of the past, and apathy is emotional numbness, or where you feel just really flat and like nothing really bothers you, whether it's good or bad. You're just numb, and I have a video about that, along with a video about depression if you want to dive deeper into either of those. Body mistrust, so either feeling betrayed by your own body, or simply you don't really trust your body anymore. Another one, which is extremely common, is emotional shutdown, which is the idea of I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just want to move on. Like, let's just forget about it and move on. If you think in that way, that is survival mode. And it's important that you acknowledge that. Otherwise, you will continue to live in survival mode. Now, onto how to start mentally healing after this injury or surgery, which was career ending. Number one, which is more important than any of the other ones, is to acknowledge that it was traumatic, okay? As I said in the beginning, I was in denial, and so I didn't acknowledge it, which therefore stopped me from healing. So if no one told you yet, what you went through is trauma. Not just an injury, not just bad luck. It is a form of legitimate trauma. And it's so important you acknowledge that and accept that. Saying that out loud is the first form of validation. So even if you have to pause the video now and say to yourself, it wasn't injury, it wasn't bad luck, it wasn't a bad luck surgery, it was trauma, and you need to say that out loud right now while you have me encouraging you to do that, then do it. Because athletes, they really often get stuck in the, oh, just suck it up. Oh, it's fine, which is really just the suppression of the emotions. And what takes more courage and what is more courageous is to actually acknowledge it and say it out loud. Because I promise you, the suppression and just sucking it up isn't going to heal you in any way, shape, or form, and you will stay stuck in living in survival mode. Essentially, the suck it up, that mindset, it keeps you in the pain. And obviously, you want to get out of the pain, and I want you to get out of the pain as well. The mental pain. The second tip is to allow grief in. You didn't just lose a season of your sport, you lost yourself, okay? Allow the anger, the resentment, or the fear, whatever it is, allow that to exist. Allow it. Because the more you suppress it, the more you suck it up, the more you're like, oh, it's fine, or whatever. The longer you are going to stay stuck, and the harder you are making it for yourself to heal. I did that, okay? Which is why it took me so much longer to heal. Because suppressed emotions, if they are not taken care of, they literally become psychological symptoms. Whereas expressed emotions become wisdom. And I cannot express it to you enough that if you suppress and you say, suck it up, or you're like, oh no, it's fine. If you have any of that kind of mental thought pattern or mindset, you are just making the matters worse for you over time. You're making it harder for you to heal. And if you really want the best for yourself, and you know you are courageous, then acknowledge it and grieve it. Allow it. You have to. Otherwise, it will just lead to further mental breakdown, I promise you. And here is a pro tip from trauma therapy. You might want to write this one down. Try writing a letter to the part of your body that was injured. And in a way, you're allowing it to speak back to you. That within itself is acknowledgement, and it's also very therapeutic. The third tip is to build trust with your body again. Because your body isn't broken, it is trying to protect you, okay? And this is part of like what the response of chronic pain is to certain degrees as well. Trauma lives in the body, but so does healing. You have all the answers inside of you. That's the one statement I always come back to. So practices like somatic breath work or somatic experiencing, gentle movement or yoga, massage or bodywork therapy, and cold plunges if it's safe for you to do so. All of these help rewire the nervous system. Instead of being in freeze, fight or flight, it's going to recalibrate the nervous system in a sense to safety and groundedness. And when you feel safe and you feel grounded in your own body, which is very much so possible, you will learn to trust your body. Another tip is to talk to someone who genuinely gets it, who's been in your shoes. You see, you don't need a therapist that doesn't get sports, okay? I tried that route, and eventually and very quickly I realized they just don't get it. They don't get it because they haven't been in my shoes. It's not their fault, okay? And even though they're like credible, they aren't credible in the sense of have they been in my shoes. You need someone who gets you. You need someone who was an ex-athlete, who suffered with, an injury or surgery that they couldn't come back from, but also is now on the other side of all of it and showing you that it is possible. Because athlete mindsets and athlete mentalities, it's just so individual, and it's so unique that even someone who is a highly recommended psychologist, if they haven't been in the shoes that you're in, they're just not going to get it. And you're just going to sit there and be like, I don't feel like they're hearing me, they're not listening to me, and they're not really helping me. Okay, I wasted thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars not healing, yet taking the courage to heal by speaking to the wrong people. So work with a trauma-informed coach, sports therapist, or someone who has been trained in nervous system healing. Nervous system healing is so unique, but also someone who understands from their own shoes what athletic identity is. Because healing doesn't mean just talking about it endlessly. Okay, acknowledgement is one thing, or diagnosis is one thing. But again, it is a double-edged sword, as I've mentioned in other videos. And talking isn't going to get you as far as you want to get. And in some ways, it can spiral you down and keep you stuck. Healing is simply working with your physiology and your beliefs over time. And what about like the inner child work and all that? Like, there's actually so much to healing. It's a very fascinating topic, but when you put it into the context of ex-athletes and athletes, it makes it even more fascinating because it is so unique. And yes, that might be my nerdy side coming out. Fifth tip is to create a new future that includes the past in it. Now you might be sitting here being like, I don't want my past to be carried with me. I'm not saying it in that sense. What I'm saying is you can't go back, but you can bring the wisdom from your past into your future. The things that served you, the things that taught you lessons, the things that were invaluable. Because again, as an ex-athlete, you are invaluable. You still have so much service from your experiences. So, when we talk about the purpose journey and finding your new purpose, which is more so towards the end of, how we coach and mentor, one thing is, for example, integrating what you learned from the injury or the surgery. What did that experience teach you? And the good side is, like, there's parts of your athletic identity that you will still want to carry with you. For example, for me, it was like courageousness, discipline, and never giving up. There were things that I built as being an athlete that I took with me to help me heal. Maybe for you, it was something like leadership or like that grit. The idea here is you're not starting from scratch. Instead, you are starting from experience, because everything you sacrificed to be, successful as an athlete and everything you experienced gives you very unique experiences. Not everyone could be an athlete. One, because a lot of people don't get the chance or the opportunities. Two, they're technically not good enough. And three, a lot of people give up, as you would know, okay? So the fact that you were an athlete says a lot. There's a lot of experiences that you did have. Again, it doesn't make you superior to anyone else. That's the ego talking, and the ego will keep you stuck as well. But it does give you a lot of experiences that you can bring into your future to help you throughout your healing journey and eventually help you find your new purpose. So to finish off here, if no one has told you, what you experienced was real. The loss was deep, and it makes incredible sense that you feel stuck. But stuck does not mean you're broken. I remember there's this quote from some motivational speaker, I can't remember who it was. And he says all the time how where you are lost or where you are stuck is where you're being found. Because the truth is, you can rewire your nervous system. You can also rewire your brain. You can rewire your beliefs. You can reclaim trust in the body. And you can rebuild a life after sport that's even more purposeful and even more fulfilling and even more authentic to you. And the reason being is because it's grounded in healing. Okay, it's not coming from hiding or this state of survival or overthinking and all these kinds of things. There is a way to go about your new chapter in a grounded sense, and that starts with healing and taking the courage to heal, that of which you're very deserving to do. And if you want me to be completely honest with you, you need to do. If you are suffering with PTSD from an injury or surgery and if you are an ex-athlete. There's just so many things that you experience as an athlete that they do impede on your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, your spiritual well-being, and what you do in the future. And if you want the best for yourself, which is a very unselfish act because you are the only one living your life and you can only serve everyone else in your best manner if you care for yourself too, okay? And it takes courage to accept that you are struggling, that you are stuck, that you are overwhelmed, etc. It takes courage to accept that and acknowledge that, but in doing so, that is the first step forwards to healing. So if this video resonated with you, drop a like, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then definitely do so, because there are a lot of other videos on here that will help you within your healing journey and also create awareness to many things that are not talked about. There are so many things that I didn't realize were going on in my own mind or my own heart because they weren't talked about, and that because also I was speaking to the wrong people. So if you want to take one message away from me today, it's to speak to the right people, people who have been in your shoes. And this channel right here is of myself, obviously, who has been in your shoes. If you're watching this video right now, I've been in your shoes. That's all I can say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.